Hey guys, welcome back. I am going to talk about these little speakers that you've maybe seen me do some testing on and stuff. Nick and I had a little Skype session recently and we spoke about what we like about our speakers, some of the flaws, some of our testing procedures and where we saw some differences and things like that. And I want to let you in on some of that conversation. Let me show you some of those video clips and about how I felt about the speaker.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, like kind of the swirling around your head and whatever, bullets grazing by your ears. Sounded really good for that. When I put them up front and listened to music, they were not bad, but not great. I don't know if it was just the size, compared to most of the speakers I've evaluated lately. They didn't have quite the, they certainly don't have a lot of power, right?
Right.
Whereas in surround mode, they're much closer to me, and the demands of them probably weren't as high, but when they're a little further away at the front of the room playing music, they just can't quite get there. But they're small, right? They're small, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I think the problem is the bass response. Right? Like it doesn't have like a lot of bass response, and I'm sure if you haven't ported, it's definitely doesn't have any at all.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I use subs. I crossed over at 80 or 100.
Oh, really?
I think I actually moved it up to 100, and yeah.
Yeah, I found it pretty good on jazz style music. I do know that when I ported it, it made a big difference in sound. I did not like it at first when I had it sealed. And the main reason was I felt like it was almost too, I don't know, tinny might be the right word, almost. It just did not have a good full sound. It really sounded way too high. Although the measurements weren't high, it just felt like really you were missing that whole lower range of sound, which I guess I was, obviously not ported yet. But then once I ported it, I was very happy with it. And I think for what we're going for surround sound speakers, it's really good.
So far they're pretty good. I haven't actually done, like, depending on how things go, I'll make lots and lots of revisions. This one I just tweaked those two a little bit. I haven't done like a massive revision on this one. And it's kind of funny. It's because when I listen to it, I'm like, everything sounds right here. I don't know what I would change, really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know and that's a good sign. But then the limitations of the speaker, because when I do play them as music up front or whatever, I've just realized that it's just, like, there's so much that you can expect out of drivers like this in a box this size.
Oh, yeah.
That you're just at the limit, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. They're definitely, if you're expecting like big sound from it, you're not gonna get it because it's just not, it's not capable of it. Yeah, I think for what they are, I think they're really good little speakers. I'm gonna have to check out your crossover. I haven't got a chance to look at it or put it in XSIM. Was it fairly linear for that little crossover component?
I got that bump at the top octave that you weren't getting, but. So I got that, and then I left the diffraction dip in there. I didn't try to work that out at all. Otherwise, it's pretty linear. Like, again, it was a very simple crossover. I'm looking at this going, okay, what do you got here? Like $50 worth of drivers.
Sure.
I don't want to chuck a bunch of money into the crossover, so letting little sins here and there exist in the response and whatever. So I didn't want to. I know we were kind of challenging each other to see how simple we could make it.
Yeah, you definitely got it more simple.
Oh, really?
Well, just by one component, but it's.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
But still, the way you made it was, it was very simplistic. Like the way you made it was simpler than mine. Either way.
The only thing is and I haven't done this yet, is I really got to put a very demanding movie on and let it rip and see if I blow them up or something, because.
Yeah, see, like there were two things that I was really, when I was designing the crossover, that I was really considering or concerned with. One was, of course, the diffraction that we were talking about, and then the other thing was the woofer. If you take a look at the woofer, it's got that any aluminum cone woofer has a cone breakup, and so I really wanted to get that down as far as I could.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I did a third order on the woofer, just to try to really get that down there so it wouldn't hopefully, show up. And I didn't get any type of distortion in the woofer that I could see, at least not in the final build. I think it's down like 35 dB or so. I'd have to look back at my stuff, but somewhere in the range.
That's pretty down there.
It's pretty down there, yeah. And then with the tweeter, I wanted to kind of cross over because I knew that this was a smaller woofer, so we could cross over higher if we wanted to. Like, we don't have to cross over as low like if it was a 7-inch woofer, right? Like a 7-inch woofer, we're gonna have to cross over much lower. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I cross over closer to the 3,500 hertz region or so? And I think.
Right. 2,500-ish?
Yeah, 2,500-ish, which still was not bad. I mean, I thought like at 2,500 it was definitely doable,
That's pretty much where mine landed, I believe.
Oh, really?
2,500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So we're both right. Yeah.
Okay, here's a quick look at my crossover, the way I have it kind of set up at the moment. You can see it's a first order on the tweeter with just an L pad. And I got this bypass inductor to help the low frequencies come through. And you can see that kind of 3,000 to 4,000 hertz range change as I take it out or put it into the circuit. And I haven't decided if it's worth including or not. Part of me thinks it's not good to have it. And then on the woofer, it's also kind of a first order with a bit of a notch. This is a very small capacitor, and you can see that above 10,000 hertz range, the breakup on the woofer, what's happening as I take it in and out of the crossover as well. That is definitely worth including in the crossover. So it's a very simple 5-part crossover. I'm not totally done with it. I might make little tweaks, but this is the general layout that I'm going to stick with for now. As I adjust little things, I'll eventually get the speaker to exactly the way I want it. And this is 123 Toyd's crossover. You can see it's only one more part. I think he mentioned it in the video. I know we were talking about this amongst ourselves, that it's only one more part, but they're a little more expensive parts, and the complexity appears a little more complex. But he also does a better job of protecting the tweeter and shutting down the woofer. So there's just, some pros and cons to both. This one is a little more expensive, but probably does a better job of putting the stop bands on the drivers and keeping things nice and tidy. I'm going to add these ports. I probably should do it to the test enclosures before I get too far ahead on the build, just to make sure they're working right, but I'm going to go ahead and skip that step because I'm lazy and use these in the final build. And just to give you a little idea, this is how I have the crossover wired up right now. Inductor and resistor on the tweeter. Those two caps in parallel make one cap. And then we got the inductor and little tiny cap on the woofer. Okay, this is the wood that I plan on using, the sapele. And it's not planed or anything. This is rough sawn. It doesn't look like much at all, but my next video, hopefully my next video, I might have one in between, will be working with this wood to build some nice enclosures for these speakers. So that's really it, guys. Just kind of a short vlog type video just to update you on what's going on with these and where we're headed with it. Next, we're going to do a build video. I'm going to hopefully start this weekend. It's Friday right now as I record this, and get some footage of planing the wood, cutting the wood, assembling everything. And I got to get my CNC. That's my CNC right now. I got to get this thing going. It's just sitting here collecting dust. So I got to do that this weekend. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, like, all that stuff you're supposed to do when you watch a YouTube video. And stick around to see what comes of these. I'll continue fine-tuning the crossover and see how that comes along. And before I know it, I should have another pair of speakers in my arsenal, which I really don't need, but I'm kind of looking forward to because that's what we do. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.